It is One Page Story Extravaganza, episode number 141, even if for some reason it hasn't appeared on the screen. How's everybody doing? Today we're going to talk about a couple of things, including the fact that I'm almost at 200 story pages in 200 days, as well as jelly plating, and we're going to try to work on it with colored pens. Woohoo! Yeah, that's exciting stuff, isn't it? Isn't that just overwhelmingly exciting? Okay, so there's the blank screen. There's the page of today. I hope that's not too exciting for people. The whole point of the show here is that if you have a one-page story suggestion, let me know. I'd like to hear about them. People give me one-page story ideas or suggestions, and I do one-page story each day. Now, sometimes those stories are a little bit longer. Sometimes I just follow it where it goes. But at the very minimum, I promise you one page. And whether it's an entire story, whether it's just, a scene or a moment or things like that, that's what we go for anyhow. So I do this every day, Monday to Friday, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, EST. And it's a lot of fun. We do it on the DL. That's not how it works. Hi, Christopher. Cam and I are working and watching. Then Cam and you both probably know that I use DL in the wrong context. Down low. Not at all. Okay, so this is our page from yesterday. The suggestion was, I gotta look it up. The suggestion was an Egyptian pack rat from Michael Thon. Thank you, Michael. And so this is what I went with, was the Pharaoh's son is a bad boy. It doesn't want to clean his room because he thinks he's a god king. It happens. Kids, am I right? Thank you for your understanding, Dee Dee, that I am very unhip. This was a lot of fun. So this is one of these pages that I did jelly plating on. And I've got a dozen pages prepped already for jelly plating. So I've set it aside in the studio. And I'm going to finish all of these surfaces that I put together for, and I'll show you them really quick in a second. But I'm going to use all these surfaces for making more one pages and talk about the advantages of that and advantages of that in a moment. But this page was drawn using a Futenisuke pen, and my favorite brush pen to use, bar none. There's a soft one and a hard one. Soft is the black pen, the hard one is the blue pen, and I love them so much. I've never found any other approach to inking a story as effective as those pens, so I can't sing their praises high enough. High up. Okay, if you want to see the finished original art, it's on my Patreon, Christopher Runsman, and I got a bunch of other stuff now. I'm doing audio files for all the pages that I do. And just so you can hear the way the story reads in my head. I'm sorry. And it's just, some bits of fun. Thank you to all the new patrons. And especially thank you to David and James, my longtime supporters. I appreciate it very much. The Substack page is going up today. It's a little late this week. But the Substack, each week I put up all the previous pages from the previous week. So that'll be going up today. I've had a problem loading for the last 2 days. I don't know if it's too many pages at once, or if it's just Substack is having some challenges, but I haven't been able to post for 2 days, so it's kind of frustrating. Let me think of what else. If you want to find that, all those links are now below the videos, and Lori has cleaned all that up for me. Lori is going to be visiting us this week, and you'll know which day it is because it'll be a picture of the two of us on the promo image for the stream. So I'm very excited about that because people like hearing Lori talk, and she's going to talk about some of the things that she reads. And on the same day, we're going to put up the book review for some books she's been reading lately, which will be kind of exciting. And again, one last time, before I forget, he says, "Yay, Lori!" The best part of the show, Lori. Do you have a one-page story suggestion? Please feel free to throw something at me. Cam, I'm talking to you. Cam's new. He hasn't had a chance to do one yet, so by all means. Hi, Tori. Tori's joined us, everybody. Okay, so let's get to work on today's page. But before that, I'm going to show you the jelly-plated images that I've been putting together. Before I forget, I have got to grab. I told Philip I would do his page, and then I completely forgot what his page was. So I just remembered to stick that down. And tomorrow, being Thursday, is going to be 3-prompt Thursday. So I got a couple of prompts sitting on in the book right now to work on. So I'll be doing that tomorrow. Okay, let's switch up the cameras. Before I forget, the music today is by the way, by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And we're going to be working in colored pens. So switch the old Camberooskies. Yay! All right. Okay, so this is the page we're going to be working on today, and I just stuck the Post-it on. You heard me do that a second ago for Philip's suggestion. But I've been trying different things with the, oh, look out, everybody, Phil's here. Everybody be on your best behavior. Okay, so this is the surface I'm going to work on this page in a moment. I forgot what the suggestion was, but now we're cracking. So these are some of the images that I've done with the jelly plating process so far. Now, what I've really tried to do is to try to get texture on the pages, because if you put too much acrylic down, and when you're doing the transferring, that really limits what you're able to work on now, because certain things just smudge like crazy. Like the Fedenosuke pen yesterday, it doesn't work on jelly plating. That I had to go over lines numerous times. So I was looking at the wherefores and why, and in that case, the image it was transferred was too thick. So I'm going to remember that. Okay, so this is on a cardstock, on a craft paper, nice thick one. This is a couple of random images that, probably going to disappear in the background. And some text. I was trying to put text on things. Neighbors in the sky. So whatever that suggestion is, I'll grab this one, and that's the way I got to work that day. This is another random image here with, it was a street in Thailand. I can't see it at all, but that's okay. Here's another one. This is a bunch of cars floating in the river. And this is the first one of an image that I transferred and realized some ideas about the viscosity of the paint, and I need a heavier gauge paint to work from. Again, trying to put some text on. This text I went over with a white pen just to bring it up. And I think it needs more than that, but so there can be compositional elements placed in and around and over these, and this image can be transitioned into the page, so that's kind of fun. Here's some patterning I was trying in the corners, as well as a forest that didn't turn out pretty much at all. But that's okay. We'll utilize this for something. And again, you can see all the different papers that I'm trying out here, right? All of them cardstocks. Here's a brief history of not going, and an image that did not show up. So this is Worlds. So I've decided I may well use this one, like I draw first panel, incorporating the title. Scan that and then reduce it down on a finished page so that I can utilize this as one graphic element, and then let's say have this incorporated on the page with all these other images. That's the fun thing about scanning your work and then putting it into the Photoshop program and manipulating it where you want to do it. It really changes up the process of it. This is the page that I would roll out the brayer on. I likes this, so I'm going to work on this too. And this is yet another piece of paper like that. This paper actually came in. This is the packaging for this one of the stencils I bought. But I got this in because old big knuckle dragger here hit the paper as I went through it. And well, we got to use that. So, and this is the previous one that I showed you about the rocket ship. So we'll be, throwing that in, and then there's our standard old squidgy marking. Marked up, inked up paper. So here's our suggestion for today. To speak to, what do we got from Jim has joined us. Hi, Jim. Hello, children of the corn dogs. Malachi. Anyways, comic prompt from Cam. I got to write down. Where's the book? Get in the book. Forest jungle critters from volcanic eruption. Jungle critters run from volcanic eruption. I thought I read that wrong. Excellent. Thank you, Cam. Is it Cam Willingham or is it Cam? Just Cameron. Just Cameron. He's like Prince. Eventually, he'll change his name to a symbol. Okay. All right. It's in the book. So we'll get cracking on that by at least this weekend. Thank you for that, Cam. Welcome aboard. Okay. Oh, everybody's saying hi to everybody. Okay. So, children of the corn dogs. All right. So, a couple of the points. So today I'm going to draw in colored pens. A bunch of random colored pen packages. These are kind of more like a jelly roll pen, and or no, it's these ones. These are more like a jelly roll pen, and as opposed to a ballpoint. So you get different results, but you get far more solid marks out of that pen. But it sort of works in that transitional state. Jelly roll pens between marker and regular pen. Okay. What's the other thing? Okay, the other thing to talk about is this is day 197 in a row since this year. It's the day 206 of this year, but it's day 197 for me of this year since I started doing the one-page story suggestions this year. Does that make sense? Since I started doing things in camera. And so because of that, we are trying to reach 200 pages in 200 days. So I've got 3 more days to do that in, including 97, 98, 99, 200. So from tomorrow, so by this weekend, I should have 200 pages done in 200 days. So that's kind of fun. That's just for this. I mean, that doesn't include the other stuff that I'm doing over there, right? So cool beans. Feeling good about that. And thank you, everybody, for all your support and encouragement and suggestions and high fives, thumbs up. I don't remember ever to say the thumbs up, notification, suggestion things like I probably should, but that's largely because, sorry, I leaned out of camera again. I'm going to move the camera. This is dumb. So I don't normally remember to do that, and largely because it's just not something on the top of my head. Maybe it needs to start being, but I do appreciate when people do that. So I just forget to say, hey, thumbs up. Thumbs up, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You want to hear our latest top 10 list about people getting kicked in the face? Yeah. Okay. So onions have become sentient and are trying to take over the world, is a suggestion from Philip Chandler. And I told Philip I'd get going on this one because he hasn't suggested something in a while. We gotta celebrate that. So, and again, as always, everybody's more than welcome to throw in suggestions if you've already done so before. I love them. I don't think I've got a suggestion from Tori yet. Just saying. No pressure. But if anybody does want to throw more prompts, by all means. I don't get to them like immediately, but I do my best. All right, so there's a lot of texture on this page. You can sort of see it on the surface. Let me try to see if the camera will pick up the crazy level of granulation I've got going here. Right? So hopefully that's going to let us do that thing that we do. Now, I've got another piece of paper here. In order for me to go like this, scribbly dibble until marks show up. And then I've got this sucker. Why do you got that sucker there, Chris? I'm glad you asked. Tori says, working on it. All right, is that your suggestion? I'll write it down in the book. Working on it. Okay. No pressure, Tori. I'm just, I'm always just trying to encourage people to jump in. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna draw an onion. Anybody remember what an onion looks like? I can't tell because every time I look at them, I start crying. It's so bad. Such a bad joke. I'm such a dad. Dumb dad jokes. You're welcome. Seeing if I've got ink in some of these pens. Yeah. All right, so the only exception I'm going to make today for other media that I'm going to put in here is a little bit of ink. That's all. Brushed ink. So let's start with something I don't do very much. Well, I was thinking about it. I'll keep thinking about it. But let me. What the heck does an onion look like? Wow. I know my onion shape. All right, so I have an idea for the title already. There we go. It just popped in my head. You got to write those things down when they show up in your noggin, or else right out the other side. I hope everybody's having a good day. It was cool to see Didi's grandson on her stream this morning. We were telling the young man, picking flowers are really nice. I enjoyed those. So I'm just throwing in. I don't know how much it's picking up. Yeah, it's picking up. So I'm just throwing down some textures and marks here, and I was just outside. I'm still warm. That's why I don't go out. So you can see what I mean by it. This is the jelly orange, and it's really strong, right? Like it really pops up. And sorry about I'm trying to get the focus figured out in this thing, but it doesn't transition fast enough itself. It's I'm missing stuff, and I'm sorry for that. He says, working on it. I responded to that. And, okay. I don't know what I was saying. Oh yeah, I was outside. I watered half the flowers on our property this morning, and went and did the other half just before I started the stream, and it's too warm for me. If it's snow, I'm good. I'm good with snow. Snow I like. Hello, Gary. How you doing, sir? Welcome aboard. So overheated. I might have to run away during the stream today, just for a moment, because I'm waiting for something exciting in the mail. What's that, Chris? It's a lawnmower blade. Not that exciting, I know. So I like letting the texture from beneath come up and just become incorporated in a drawing, because I'm weird like that. But then there's also something to be said for trying to make more clear, more definable what the heck's going on with this? Let me get this corrected. I'm so sorry. Better? My camera got all cockamamie. Yeah, so much better. Stupid robot. All right. I like to bring things up. And when you're working from a surface that's not clearly white, at first things might not appear as readily as they would on a, you draw a circle and you can see circle, but when you do it on another surface, you sort of got to pull it up. So we're going to do that. We're going to do that in a moment. We're getting to it. We'll get there. This looks more like a pinata right now than an onion. So I'm always curious about what people are working on. Please feel free to stick that in the comments and let everybody know. I'm sure other people are curious about what you're working on. Anybody's got any events coming up or interviews or things they want to promote, let everybody know. And again, you got a one-page daddly-do. Let us all know that too. It's good to be long. I just had to stretch 4 feet across the studio for my water. Why is it that far away, Chris? I don't know. All right, so this is a wash of the white ink. Now I've put these oranges and yellows and some brown down. So now as I'm going over this in the white, and it's moving these values around it, but it also works for us so that you can more readily see the colors inside popping out. So we'll come back to that. Corbin has been with me in the studio all day today until just before I started the stream. Oh, there's exciting news. Give me 1 second, Gary. I'll put that up. All right, we'll give that guy a second. Gary says, as for me, I'm just continuing to get organized and geared up to write the script for DVSM number 4. Fantastic. Well, enjoy my time off from streaming. This is very exciting. People, if you haven't had an opportunity to check out Gary's DVSM 1 through number 3, please do. Honestly, there's very few. I love when I see friends projects. I really do. And I get to see a fair amount of them. And I always look at them with the same merit, the fact that, hey, you worked on and produced a book. So to start off, I already elevate the quality of that over corporate projects, big company. Oh, look at all these Marvel books. Marvel books aren't done by one person. They're by teams of people that are paid X amount of dollars for spending all their energies on other licensed characters that they don't reap the rewards from. And that's fine. But when I see people doing independent books, I always want to celebrate those. But then every now and then, one of these books comes along that just makes me pause and, okay, I'm reading this again because I enjoy them so much. And it's little care and attention that people put into things. And Gary hits that bill. So if you have an opportunity to check out DVSM, his newest book is 1979. Previous books are 1997, and the first book is 1975. The numbers are out of order for a reason, but really, really good. Lori's going to be with us in the stream next couple days, and we're going to be doing a second stream or a second video on that day because Lori's got a book review coming up or something. So
Hey, Gary, that embarrassing rash is starting to finally clear up. Just thought I'd use this chat to update you.
Jim, I told you it was nothing.
Wait, should that have been private? Go on, Gary.
Anyways, so oh, rash. Yeah. So if you get a chance, check out Gary's work. I can't sing the praises enough of so many of you that come on out to the stream here. That all of you that are engaging with one another here, that are here now. I mean, this is fantastic because I really appreciate and respect what all of you do with your creative expression, and I love that. I love that we are afforded these opportunities through this magic space technology. It just, I'm a late adapter, and I only got onto social media in 2021. I know. I might have been signed up for things. Dude, you should have a Facebook account. My kids would sign me up for a Facebook account, and then it would sit dormant for like 7, 8, 9 years. But I started my online presence, I guess, 2020 with COVID. So, having the opportunity to meet so many cool people here is a real gift. So thanks very much, gang, and thank you for sharing the wonderful work that you do. All right, so I'm just laying down a little bit more of this little texture in, and then we're going to get back to the color. And the color should pop out because it has this bit of white here at the bottom. All right. Oh, Chris has joined us. Hi, Chris. Hi, everybody. If you get a chance, take a look at Chris's Instagram page and take a look at the really, really fine job she did on a Captain America piece that she just colored. It is gorgeous. I think, was that on like a gray paper? Chris, was that a gray cardstock that you did that on? Either way, just genius. She started off with the reflections, it looks like, and they just sing right through the piece. I get a kick out of the way that Chris illustrates reflection and refraction of light, and a really fantastic handle of that. So if you want to see some of that excitement, take a look. Chris Clouet on Instagram. All right, so I'm gonna start coming in now with a little more of that color. I'm working pretty quickly on wet surface, so I'm not letting it have enough time for really drying and curing, and that's kind of on purpose. 1, I'm impatient. 2, I already told you number 1. So this is page 197 since the start of the year for the suggestions. So I've got 4 days to do 4 pages, and then I hit that goal. It's not like I'm going to stop either. I'm just going to keep going, but I sort of set a goal for myself. And then here we go. Ready? This is another episode of Short-Sighted Christopher. Lori says to me, you should promote that somehow and say, I don't know, I'm going to do 200 pages in 200 days, and maybe I can get 200 new followers. She's so right. But, and it's not her fault for telling me like a couple of days before I'm at 200. She didn't know. But I didn't think of it once in 196 days. So, she wins. Chris says, thank you. It's a regular printer paper, not the best around. It's a challenge by a friend. He said cheap material cannot perform. So I took the cheapest I had, Prismacolor Junior, Faber-Castell Super Soft, and Office Depot colors. Good for you. It's a gorgeous piece, and yeah, there's something to be said for the feel of materials, and it's always great when you can afford or be accommodated by the expense of mark making materials, because there are benefits to the quality that they're going to come down with. But at the same time, it's all about feel. So you could buy the most expensive set of mark making material and in the open marketplace, and it doesn't amount to a hill of beans if a person doesn't know what to do with it. Whereas you can take maybe the least expensive mark making material and make it sing, just because for some reason it resonates with you. So the whole I only buy quality products. I sat in an event recently, an art fair, and the lady that sat beside me, who didn't move anything the whole weekend. She spent the entire weekend gossiping with her daughters, literally gossiping about every person they've ever met. But I could overhear their conversations of, well, I only use the most expensive things because, and the work doesn't resonate the way that the ideas do. Meanwhile, on the opposite side of me, there's another lady who's got similar material. It's just flying off the shelf. And she's like, oh, I'll go to the dollar store. And I'm like, yep, there you go. So in that case, at least in this case example, matters a hill of beans. Your fancy business that you bought. All right. So I got this little blob of ink still sitting over here. Stretch. Oh, I'm missing a bunch of stuff. I'll be right there. I might need more. Maybe not. Probably not. No, that'll do it. All right, there's the first panel. Give that a sec. Let's jump over here. It's stunning, Chris. Yeah, it really is beautiful, Chris. The work that you've done there. Question of the day: do you feel like artists are special, or anyone can be an artist? We all have it within. That's a great question, and I'd like to jump in on that after people throw it out there. Gary, I think anyone can be creative. I often think it's something like hearing rhythm or perfect pitch, and that people have varying levels of ability and upper ceilings. Short answer: anyone can play basketball, but not everybody can be Michael Jackson. Jordan. I did that on purpose. I'm a ding dong. Michael Jackson could have played basketball, is all I'm trying to say. He would have thrown the big dunks. You know, he would have set the pace on the court and nobody could beat it. I'm disappointed in myself for that one. So I've got some blue here, and I've got that brown that I was using a minute ago. So we're going to monkey around, put this on a surface. Magic surface. It's way too low. It's all right. We'll get there. We'll get there, folks. What are you doing, Chris? What are you, drunk? I had a really cool thing happen last night. I'm not saying this to be that guy, but I'm saying it like, holy cow. I got reached out for a friend request from an artist that has been possibly, I call him the Five. It's the artist that I think might very well have been the Five sequential storytelling artists that really had massive impact on me. I don't know how that happened, so I'm still kind of trying to figure that one out. I'm really mad about that line. Big stretch. Either way, I was really quite chuffed last night. Giggling like a schoolgirl as I went for our evening walk. You know this giggle? That one. All right, what do we got? Didi, I think everyone's born with a love of something creative. How much time, practice, money, and what opportunities they have determine how successful they will be. Didi has a great expression that she says, where you got to get, what is it? You get your butt in the seat. Please type it in, Didi. I'm not doing it justice, but you're so right. I mean, you gotta work at anything you want to be better in, right? But yeah, everybody's born with a love of something creative. That's for sure. Tori says, I agree, Gary. Anyone can learn something or parrot, fashion it, but it takes someone who has a love for what they're doing that will get joy from what they're doing, and it shows in the work. That makes sense. That makes sense, Tori. Thank you, Didi. Inspiration is in your butt. No, not everyone will be famous. Totally agree, Didi. You want to know one of the things that annoys me is you're not going to be famous as an artist until you're dead. What the heck are you talking about? I've never understood people thinking that. You can be born with the ability, but if there's no conditions to develop it, you cannot master it. Deedly do. And deedly do. I'm a firm proponent to the idea that we can teach anybody to utilize materials. The person that says that they have the least affinity for self-expression can be encouraged to develop some facility for self-expression. You know, everything is always possible. You know, it's amazing to me the people that have these fancy professional careers, and some of them in the first place, because you're like, you got to know somebody for this business, because but then there's other people that are absolutely fantastic, and nobody has an idea of who they really are with numbers that should be according to their quality. So but yeah, I believe anybody can find expression, a creative expression. Anybody can find alternative forms and just the traditional expectation of how we communicate with each other. People can find other means to express themselves, but if you want to develop it, if you want to be good at it, like Chris says, that's not always possible. That's not always available. I live in a city that is, it's the city with the most millionaires per capita in Canada, or at least it used to be. I think it may still be, but it is an entirely closed system in this city to get your work exhibited in the larger galleries and to get connected to these larger art networks in London, because it's so caught up in the who you know. And I think that the art field in a large way is like that. But because I'm a gorilla who just works and works and works and works, eventually, I think I was working hard enough to somebody look at it and go, hey, that looks like a thing. And at the same time, you work hard enough and you put enough out there that people can't deny the fact that you're swinging a hammer. So that's how I got any recognition at all. But it was a lot of work, and that's the thing that a lot of people just can't do. Yeah, CK, I mentioned opportunities. Yeah, very much. You guys, the opportunity doesn't always present itself, like you're saying, ladies. I had a friend that used to call non-artists muggles. I never liked that. It feels elitist. Please, guys, no need to get up. We have a lot to cover today. Fame now depends on content that is not good enough. I see hundreds of channels here or TikTok with awful content and have millions of subs. Quality or artistic content is ignored. That's it's really interesting that you bring that up, Chris, because earlier today I don't pay attention, and I don't mean this in a negative way to anybody else, and I don't mean it to diminish the output that people have. And if you wonder why I don't like a lot of all the time, and I don't, thumbs up everything all the time, it's because I'm generally doing something. I'm generally in the midst of my own headspace, and which everybody is to some extent. But I tend to be, like I said, I'm like a gorilla. I'm just constantly just roaring through the forest, right? But I miss a lot of content. It's almost purposeful though, and one of the reasons that I don't go scrolling through a lot of things is that there's a lot of junk out there, and I don't want to be overwhelmed with all this junk. And because I post what I post, and because I am connected to an industry that I'm connected to, I get inundated with so much junk about the big superhero companies, and I don't care, and it all tries to feed through my stream all the time, so that I don't want to turn it on. But the thing that annoys me even more is all the people that come out and say, here's what's happening in comics. This is the thing you have to do. Here's the trend you need to jump on. Here's the trend in art that everybody needs to do. Anytime anybody says this is the new thing and you need to be doing it, shut that person off. Shut them off. Because it has nothing to do with creative expression and creative output from people. It has nothing to do with that. That's just trendy nonsense, and there's way too much of that in social media. Way too much. Hello there, Robert. Hey, Jim. Hi, Robert. Now, if someone can catch me up on what the blonde gorilla is babbling about so I can tell how wrong he is. Well, I was going to talk about this guy, David, I know that I think is cool, but, what do I know? Anyways. Hi, Yvette. Hey, Diddy. Okay, everybody's saying hi. Now, the problem with that is that I miss a lot of friends and cool stuff to do. But in order for me to continue doing what I'm doing, I need to be able to ignore the other part. Because focusing on the other part and letting that affect my own psyche and letting that, well, why is this person, and comparing myself to them, and why are they in whatever state that they're in as opposed to whatever state I'm in, when this person doesn't have a clue what they're, and what they are doing is, who cares? I don't want to be that guy, right? And we all have the propensity to be that person. But I don't want to be that, self-comparison, and either devalue them or devalue me. So I tend to stay away from a lot of that stuff, and that's how I get my mental health together. If I sat down and I compared myself to other people doing the same thing, I wouldn't sit down and actually do any things. But there is definite validity on recognizing that there's a lot of content that's junk, but just don't give it any time. That's all I'm saying. Especially when there's even in this chat now, there's so many people to celebrate for their creative outputs. Just in this room right now alone, there's so many people that I respect that are, for what they're doing. So I would far rather encourage them. I would far rather promote them. There's an artist in London, okay, that gets an exhibition almost every year at our major art museum. They're a teacher at Western, and they do the same drawings over and over and over and over again, almost unintelligible graffiti stuff in the same little squiggly patterns in different colors. And this has been going on for years. This is how much of a closed system something has to be for that to keep happening. So does that change any value in what I'm doing and where I'm doing it and how I'm doing it in comparison to this person? No. No. If I wanted to be in that scenario, I would just fight harder to be in that position too. But not to the extent of that every year of the same whatever every year, but everybody does their own thing. I've got onions jumping through the air because the suggestion is onions have become sentient and are trying to take over the world. Robert says, artists should be allowed to be a little superior. I certainly think while artists can be envied for their talent unless they're financially viable, self-supporting, they're dismissed as just having a hobby rather than being part of a lifestyle that is incredibly important. People associate financial gain with success. I think the superior attitude would stand as a bulwark against dismissive attitudes. That's very powerful. Thank you, Robert. That's very powerful. The superior attitude. Yeah, no, I don't think the superior attitude is necessary at all. I think that a strong sense of self and a strong knowledge and understanding of self and the ability to say, this is just who I am, whether it works for you or not, I can't help you with that. I think that sort of mature self-assessment and self-assurity is good. But to stand there and I'm just rating superior as looking at the person beside you and go, so there's just the little paintings that you do? I'd smack that person across the room. But to have a sense of self-worth and an important value of and the appreciation that you're going to continue doing. Yeah, I'm 100% with you. Gary says, I recently read that most of the time when someone gives advice, they're actually giving it to a younger version of themselves. You see a lot of that with well-meaning artists trying to give advice. Yeah, I'm guilty of that too. Everybody's guilty of that. But it's not necessarily a bad thing, says Dee Dee. No, if I could have grabbed myself by the ears and said, stop worrying about, your position in the locality of all these things and just focus on the work, which I was focusing on anyways. But insecurity permeates creative people when they're first stepping out into the world. It punches holes right through them. Cannot help that. It's a completely understandable thing. You're unsure in the larger world, the larger dynamic around you. It's that way in life, right? We're that way in all things where, we're not always really 100% secure and assured in new things or foraying into new arenas. Life's challenging and scary enough without self-defeating ourselves. That's a sentence I just used. So I would love the opportunity to tell myself, just don't even listen to that junk. I'm always surprised by and staggered by artists that are, around the age I am now, which is about 1,000, and that carry on like they're teenagers that have just started out into a professional field, even though they've been in said field for 30 years. I'm always surprised by that stuff. No advice, throw into the wolves and say, good luck to you. Yeah, yeah. Gary says, no, but I personally feel it's good to think about whether the advice I give is universal or just autobiographical. I tend to couch my advice with, this is what I do. Yeah, see, I'm the same too. But if you sit down and look at everything from a psychological assessment, that's going to take up a lot of your time. But yeah, a lot of us tend to look at it from, here's what we've learned, here's how we'll approach it. And by the way, Gary, the graphic that you have for your self here, the alien flying into the mouth of the dinosaur, is fantastic. That's fantastic. Robert says, Of course, you can say this is the way I did it, but it's still advice. Yeah. My sister practices for hours every day for her art, currently doing a master's in fine art, but because she's not financially self-sustaining, it's just art alone. It's regarded as a hobby. She puts in as much practice as Olympic athletes. Yeah. It depends on the association. As Gary says of a dick and redrawing it. Cut it out. It's there. Leave it alone. Move on. Yeah. I think that practice and the discipline of practice and the discipline of furthering your development is going to enable more people to look at what you're doing with a sense of, oh, I see that. I see that the thing that you're doing, you've put some effort into doing, whether it's skipping rope or making something with your hands or dodging traffic in the street. I don't know. But there's always going to be some affinity for other people to look at and go, you did said things successfully, right? That's might be its only reward. Does that mean I'm, Andy Warhol? Andy Warhol was not a good artist, right? But he was he's fantastically connected and a fantastic promoter. But what he did was pretty, when you consider how the production of material that people can do on a consistent basis with simple things like jelly plates now, there's a reevaluator there on content. But he did something. I'll give him credit for that. But the art world is never one that's going to give proper recognition. And the cultural appreciation of any given society is always going to be swept up in the quick and the fast and the consumable far more so than it is the quality of a thing. It's just, that's what we do as monkeys. If this stick works, then we don't need the fancy stick with the hook on it. Robert says, whilst I say superior, what I guess I mean is more closed communities with people who understand the skill and sacrifice that art takes with the understanding than that plebs will never understand. Optimally, we have a more broader sense of appreciation and education from the general mass of people that recognize that this is fantastic, all of the shiny tanks and guns and things, but how much are we expressing like monetarily as a culture towards the soul of things, right? I'm really glad that your shiny bank building is full of all kinds of little glittering coins, but what about the general assurity and sense of value to self that a lot of people just don't have in comparison? Like you can always, I think we really need to change our sense of culture and our sense of individuality and what civility really means. What appreciation of culture really means. I believe it's kind of both ways. An artist can value themselves and their work highly, but not look at non-artists as muggles. Oh yeah, no, everybody has an artistic bone. Everybody does. I think that you can appreciate the work and the effort that you're putting in. You should. You can definitely appreciate the work and the effort that others are putting in, and ideally we should. But at the same time, I always look at the people that are having a hard time that I might know, if there's ways that I can help them find some kind of vehicle in order to get whatever their anxieties and tensions and challenges that they're facing that are keeping them where they're at in a sort of fugue state. If I can encourage them, a way for them to come out of that, I try to do that. Never look at them as the plebes. J-boys! Joshua Campbell, ladies and gentlemen. That looks so lovely, Christopher. Oh, thanks, Joshua. The depth can be seen in what to them is just a pretty picture. Yeah, well, you can develop that and encourage that over time, but we need to do it in broader strokes. Culturally, I think we really need to do it in broader strokes. But it's the quote that I put out the other day. I always forget his name. Jerry Saltz Art criticism doesn't exist anymore. It's a paper he wrote recently. There is just so much work and so many diverse styles and forms and levels and different subculture accessibilities and subculture groupings like that. It's impossible to say what is good and what is bad anymore, because it's now just an open field where everybody has the access to be able to do it, and everybody has the access to be able to find the thing that they want and to not have to look at the things that they don't. Used to be you wanted to see fine art, it was either in a home or it was in a gallery. And now you have it in your phone, right? Culture is switched. Chris says, same here in Mexico. Frida Kahlo was never considered a good artist in Mexico, but there are much better women artists here. Remedios Varo, for example. Oh, fantastic artist. Great reference. Fantastic artist. Yeah. Personally, never got Frida Kahlo. Never did. I know people love her, and there's probably people here that love her, and I'm not dismissing her. I never connected with her work. I just never did. But there are so many other Mexican artists that just wow. And I do like Diego. I think a creative has to have enough belief in their taste and choices to resist harmful outside influences and input. The challenge is leaving the door a smidge open to hear useful critique. Useful critique and valid critique are different things, right? Valid critique, giving useful, like a valid point of criticism, giving useful critique is warranted. But somebody else just spitting off whatever their thought or opinion of the moment is and how that affects your work is, I think those people are unnecessary. Josh is being a contrarian. The contrarian, ladies and gentlemen. We are wizards. Okay, here we go. What can I say? I got a nice... Oh, my God. Am I go here? I'm okay with that. We're all storytellers. We just tell them in different ways. Indeedly do. I am not down with people that put artists down or look at them like they're less than valuable. Yes, I'm talking about Gary. That is not helpful. I slid off the cookie there, folks. There's so much to be said for finding the things that you enjoy, and there's so much to be said for celebrating those things, but there's a lot to be said for looking over time. Okay, so Northrop Frye was a theology professor at the University of Toronto here in Canada, and Northrop Frye wrote a number of essays, and one of those essays, they're collected in a book called The Illuminated Imagination and other essays. His thesis is this: the more that we take something in, if it's food, if it's art, if it's literature, whatever it is, the more that we consume something, the more that one would hope with our consumption we develop a more refined taste. Inevitably, you should, right? So that you will be able to have some degree of discernment, so that as you look at things, that you will have a better aesthetic understanding of what you do or do not appreciate. And so, it's one thing to like macaroni and cheese. It's another thing to like a really lovely Alfredo pasta. I don't know if I've even mentioned the right kind of pasta. Cheesy, fancy noodles. There's cup of soup and then there's homemade soups, right? Like, it's sort of, you start to develop this affinity for a more sophisticated want for consuming. You look at the superhero movies that are coming out, and yes, it is valid and fun that there's lots of superhero movies that are coming out and we like them, but there are good ones and there are bad ones. And but everything's too easy now. with the streaming services, we're in a massive period of change that is affecting all of us because it's coming on so fast that it's affecting multiple generations simultaneously. We're not talking about, the development of cell phones from shared landlines amongst 6 different farmhouses, and the expediency of that period. We're talking about a sedated period of growth over a long period of time for society, and then suddenly industrial revolution. We're in the midst of that when we're really just recovering from the last one because it's so fast upon it. So now it's all here, right? Rick Rubin talks about that in his book, Leveling Up One's Taste Through Exposure to Great Work. Yeah, Rubin is Gary's guru, and it's a good guru to choose. There's something to be said. If you like Stephen King, like your Stephen King. There's nothing wrong with Stephen King. I like some Stephen King. Have I read all of Stephen King's books? Not a chance, right? That's a lot of books. But read more than Stephen King. And I say that because even if you just read his contemporaries, read some Peter Straub, read some Clive Barker, try other, if you have an interest, try other similar works to set interest, because you might be surprised what you're going to discover from doing so. And that's a hard thing that people sometimes just don't want to hear. They don't want to do that, right? I keep hearing exposure is great pay. Not always. Sometimes you're just flapping it out there for no reason whatsoever. I think that embracing and engaging in the idea that there's more, there's choices, there's fresh things to discover is a gift. My partner and I read very different books, and despite that, we've both made an effort to try to and take a look at what each other read and try to enjoy that a little bit. And at the end of the day, both of us have looked at what the other enjoys and go, I see it. I got it. This is cool. I like this. And that's great. That's great. That sort of lets us both develop a little bit more understanding to a different perspective than just the one we're locked into with what we appreciate. Thanks, Josh. I'm not sure what I said. I saw someone quipping a few months ago, exposure isn't compensation. Exposure is something people die from. Josh, I suppose we're tastefully done. Exposure is going to be really good for your career. My artistic muse is Dorian Clevenger. I'm going to write that down. Dorian Clevenger. I'm not familiar. I've written that down. I'm going to look into that, Robert. I'm always surprised meeting comic book writers and artists who aren't looking at outside of just comics for influences. Oh my goodness, yes. Indeedly do. Yeah, it's if you're only exposing yourself in whatever field it is that you're doing, you're gonna only ever appreciate that level of value. You're only ever, if you think the be all and end all of cooking is Gordon Ramsay, well, I don't know what to tell you. Like there's more out there to sample in the world well, the only time when I cook, I like to yell and scream at everybody. It's not how people cook, It's just more out there. Dorian Clevenger. I have to look this person up. Like, I like Anne Borchardt. I really, really enjoyed the writing of Anne Borchardt. Now, I say Anne Borchardt, and many people go, who? And yet, I far prefer the writing of Anne Borshat than her little sister. And yet her little sister is massively popular, right? For those that don't know, Anne Borshat is the older sister of Anne Rice. I'm surprised. I'm always surprised meeting comic book writers and artists. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I read that. That man used to be able to party like it was 1999. For what it's worth, comics are the least of the influences on BDSM. Some might smartly say obviously, but I think it shows creative expression or inspiration, can come from anywhere. I think that originality and authenticity in anything that people produce generally comes from your own appreciative stimulation coming from a broader sense, a broader field than the one that you're working in. You'll always see a more authentic perspective on your outputs because you're not influenced by the same very limited pool that everybody that's doing the same sort of thing is doing. That's a really, really valid and creative outlook, Gary. You can really see it in your work. No matter what it is that we're doing, we're always going to look at the things that have influenced us. You know, it's a case of developing your own voice over time that I think you start to find more of a fulfillment in what you're doing because you've established for yourself some headspace on something. You have a way that you associate stuff, whatever it is, you know. I'm just drawing some little background buildings behind the balls bouncing. Obviously, Gary. I teed that up. Clearly. He said, oh, this now. Peer pressure is a big influence to me. Quiet, Josh. Maybe that's true, though, Josh. Maybe there is some truth in that, right? Peer pressure is always a big influence on most people. It's one thing to introduce yourself into a larger dynamic with other people, but you can't help but be influenced by it, too. Especially if you embrace and engage in the things that may well be suggested by said other people, right? Okay, so I'm going to put a car in the foreground just to give a sense that the onions are flying over the car. I hope that you can see this okay. I know I'm moving around a fair amount. I do that, but I'll start throwing some white down in a second so I can more clearly define some of the stuff that's drawn in this background. Well, hopefully that's understandably a car. It's an old car, but it's a car. I like old cars. So I'll be right back to seeing people's inputs in a second. I really appreciate everybody, voicing their thoughts on this. This is really, really helpful and helps us all grow, right? That's the thing I like about a comfortable space where we can all express and our inputs, and at the same time we can, in expressing those inputs, be looked at by each other as, yeah, that's your perspective. That's an interesting headspace, and it might make us consider a headspace that on a subject that we hadn't really thought about before. So there's some rudimentary building shapes in the background. All right, where we at? That's why I do Photoshop. I mostly do it to get women. There you go, guys. Comics are a notorious successful pickup line. So, I know Batman. Just saying. Yeah. That goes so well. So, have you ever heard of Batman? Because I know him. With some of the with the fast absorption of nerd culture into the popular zeitgeist, like with how many projects that are made by it, and you get all these people like, oh my god, I'm a total geek, and oh cool, what do you like? Superheroes? All right, cool, that's cool. But the association level of that, as opposed to the fella that's just arguing with other people about the change of stripes on the side of a superhero's costume in the latest issue of What Now, Who Not, is very different in the assessment of I am a nerd. I always think it's nice when I'm an advocate for more people and embracing and engaging in the things that like sequential media that I like. So, but I'm also I want to see fancier things come out of it. I want to see us be able to explore it more deeply instead of just continually rehashing the same products over and over again with different shiny packaging on it, because that's not getting anybody anywhere. How many different versions can you have in X amount of years of different Spider-Mans and Batmans when there's a wealth of other things to look at? It's tricky, right? Now it's just too much. I'll be honest about this. I try to be honest about everything, but I'll be honest about this. With all this publicity about the writers' strike and the motion picture industry and all of this stuff, for a brief moment, one of the writers of one of the Marvel movies that, they don't appreciate originality. It was all I could do to go, I don't appreciate your originality. So that's all I could do to let go of that bias of, what are you talking about? There's nothing original about your movie. It's not even the first one of that movie series, so. Batman's important. But like I said in an earlier stream this week, there are so many other potential characters that could be developed as film franchises that hit the same mark. I haven't shown our books for today. People let me know if you want to see today's books or not. I can pull some out. We can talk about those for a few minutes. Today's suggestion, just to get back to that for a second, is onions have become sentient and are trying to take over the world. So panel 1, which is going to be like the title card, I have established here is our onion. The narrative voice for the page, I think I will pick up once I get a little further along. I tend to write as I go. But what I'm just trying to identifiably establish is here is onion, right? And the title idea popped in as soon as I started this page, and that was peeling it all back. Onion. Let me think. What do I think about onion? Oh, peeling. Hey, here's a fun title. And I wrote it down so that I don't forget it, because the thing that sort of sits in your head for 1 second, you go, yeah, I like that. It's gone. If you don't write it down, it's gone. That's why Dee Dee's a big advocate of journalism, or journaling. And journalism, where's that? So she's not wrong. She's not wrong at all. All right, what do we got? I'm sorry, I'm missing a whole bunch of stuff here. Josh and Jim have photo shoots. Makes me feel smart to hang out with artsy types. Oh boy. Are you in the wrong place? Anyways. Dee raises my IQ just by being in the same chat. Chris, not so much. Yeah. You can't have a party without Dee winning. I got all the love for Dee. This is good. It's true, though. Honesty is transitory. There we go. I really hope the writers and actors hold out as long as it takes. And honestly, is there a group of workers better accustomed to being out of work and making ends meet with odd jobs? I'd like to see books. Okay, I will. I want to see Corbin. So do I, but he's upstairs sleeping. Does he know he's an internet star? So we did some pictures this morning, Corbin and I. So Corbin will be back as the photo for each of the streams coming up this week. It's going to be a picture of Corbin each time. So I was trying to get a hold of Corbin looking in different directions and looking like he's got different expressions. Yeah. Looking. So here's some advice from my younger self to go back in time for. You're going to be a cat guy. So Sinead O'Connor just died. That sucks. Dee Dee says, I actually went back to school for journalism with a minor in art. Is that right? Cam just left. He enjoyed your show, Christopher. Oh, that's great. That's great. That's very nice of Cam to say that. That's cool. Okay, what kind of books do we want to see? Let's see. So anyways, I got this started. I will be continuing on in the method that I'm doing. Just because I tend to build up light into dark when I'm working for the most part. So some of the details that are going to start appearing on the car will come in as I go, like so, and then I'll pull up the background in the image, and so it has more depth of field. So, yeah. So we got a good crack at a couple of panels, but let's get some books out. But that's sad. That is, sad. Yeah. Okay. Guess I know what CD I'm putting on in the studio soon. Boy, oh boy. Oh, Chris says, I just saw the news and it's so sad. Yeah. Did you guys know that Sinead O'Connor was also in a girl singing group as well? Did you know? It's funny, but she was. Have to run early. Sorry, Christopher. We'll catch the rest later. Awesome stream. Take care, all. Take care, Tori. Thank you so much for being here. It's very cool. It's a shame she had a hard life. She really did. She really did. All right. So. Oh, and before I forget, if there's a person here that sent me a video to watch this morning that it dawned on me just before the stream that I have not responded to it yet, and it was only because I was running around with my head cut off. I'm very excited to sit down. I'm going to do it as soon as the stream's over, and I know I'm going to love it, but I'm really excited, and I can barely contain myself about it. But I didn't want to do it while I'm doing something else. So, okay, I'm going to stop doing this. So thank you for sending that to me, and I will look at it in a little bit. I might have watched the same video. Ooh. I hope so, because I know I'm really excited about it. Yeah. I appreciate when that we're all sharing what we do with each other. And I highly, highly encourage everybody to do so. What kind of thing do we want to see today, folks? Do we want to see cool sequential books? Do we want to see art and design books? Do we want to see sketchbooks? Any particular interest that anybody has? I've got lots and lots of stuff. So my CD ended at like CD. I still call them CDs when I listen to albums. All right, I'm just gonna grab. Just waiting for a second in case anything pops up. Nothing yet. Nope. No comments. Here we go. Okay, let's switch gears. All right, I'm going to throw some books down. Oh, I'm going to choose this one before the other one. Actually, you know what? I'm going to choose both. Okay, so we're going to start here. Whatever you like, Chris says. Okay, well, here's the first bit. So here's a stack of books. This is the author, one of the three, there's 3 or 4 authors that have the biggest influence on me. They are Douglas Adams, Kurt Vonnegut, George Orwell. When it comes to writers, I think those 3 have a massive impact on how I write. And if it's not surprising that they're all of them rather alternative thinking. So this is Graduation Speeches by Kurt Vonnegut. And the way he talked to kids is like, Bill Gates doesn't seem to realize that we are dancing animals. I mean, there's nothing that comes out of Vonnegut's mouth that doesn't make me smile. This book is Suzanne McConnell has put together all of Kurt Vonnegut's notes on writing as a book, and I so highly recommend this. This is my favorite Vonnegut collection of writings, but this book here, and the ISBN is 978-1-64421-021-5. But this, if you are writing or you're pursuing writing or you're interested in writing, please look at that. All right. Pity the Reader. George Orwell. 1984 and Animal Farm, the 2 big ones. Except for the third one that I should have pulled is Politics in the English Language. And that's his book on writing. And if you can say no longer good rather than redundant, he suggests that you do so in your writing. There's this sort of things that your writing needs to be consumable for the most amount of people that Orwell was a big promoter of, which is why he wrote Animal Farm. And you use the animals as the voice, as opposed to actually writing on social class structure and politics. So, all right. Okay, so here's a sketchbook. This is Farrell Dalrymple. Sketchbook is called Delusional. What do we got? Vonnegut is good. Blue is my favorite. Nice book. Unless one is Sir Terry Pratchett, you're just wrong. Well, we know what David's favorite is. Okay, so Farrell Dalrymple. Have patience, have patience. It just goes on and on and on about patience, and at the end, he gives you the bird. So Dalrymple this is a bunch of his short stories, his short comic pieces, with a number of his illustration work. And if you're not familiar with Farrell Dalrymple, and the spelling is FarrellDalrymple. I got a chance to meet Farrell Dalrymple, and he's just a cool guy, just a normal dude. And that's always reassuring, especially when they do surreal work. So look at this. Who hasn't done that? It's over 40 years old. Well, now a bunch of hipsters and kids are using tapes too. So, but these are notes from his work. So this is a really fun and exciting sketchbook to have, and I really appreciate it. To be able to go through it and to look at how another person's day-to-day perception of the world around him and ideation comes together in small and short ways. Because it sort of allows you glimpses into the larger story that's coming out of him. So, Farrell Dalrymple. And on that note, I've got a couple more to pull out. Right back. Just a moment. Un momento, s'il vous plaît. Un momento, s'il vous plaît. All right. Okay, here we go. There's a few more. Now, this does Daryl Dalrymple know Engelbert Humperdinck? Farrell Dalrymple, but I don't know. You know, Engelbert Humperdinck's not his real name, right? You know, he legally changed his name to Engelbert Humperdinck. Okay, somebody had asked about this yesterday. I'm not sure who it was. Siri. Anyways, these are the covers to all of the Sandman books that were written by Neil Gaiman and illustrated by a bunch of different artists. But all of the covers for that series were done by Dave McKeon. And it's photo collage. Like this is a collage that he's put together, and then he's projected another image with text in it over top of that, and then taken a snap of it. Robert says, Animal Farm is a subtle hidden meaning? Totally missed that. And then you can see some of additional pieces he's got, and little stills and photos that he's taken with his camera. But this work, where he's projected one image over top of another in a traditional way, and then he starts incorporating digital elements as well, but it's wild art. This is a straight on ink, but he's got this painting that he's matted into this window. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, folks, this guy is one of my favorites. Look at that. Scratch pen drawing, and then he's painted a moon. Crescent moon right over top of the eye. Love it. But beautiful work. Big fan. Somebody asked to see this yesterday. The number for this book is 08230-4632. Okay, here's another one. This is an Italian illustrator who's done sequential work, but he's also done graphic fine art storytelling as well. But Alberto Breccia, and I'm a big fan of Breccia. I have a number of his sketchbooks and his compilations, but the craziness, the looseness of the person's style in sketching out work is insane. And if you're familiar with Breccia's work, just looking to see if I got one really close. Yeah, I do. Okay. I think I've shown this one. Maybe I'll see if I got it. Don't mind me. Yeah, okay. Well, I'll just go to the one that I think I've already shown, which is... There it is. What's in it? I don't know if I've shown this before or not, but with this loose sketching style, as I just showed you here, okay, so you can see the looseness of, oh, sneak peek for the next book. The finish style is some of the most simple and elegant controlled line. Look at that. See the textures? I'm going to hold it up. See the textures in the waistcoat at all? He's clearly stamped it on with paper towel or something like that. And then here is like this drip, watery image that he's trying to create these abstracts about how a stroke has affected the character. But for such loose drawings, it's such controlled artwork. But you can clearly see that's a dry brush that he's made these burnt surfaces with. Alberto Breccia. This is Historias Argentinas. It's from Uruguay, born in 1919. ISBN 987-1120-00-1. And if you're interested in Mort Cinder, which is an amazing collected volume, all of them, the ISBN is 978-1683-960799. Okay, one more. This is one more of the big fine art influences on me, and it's Gustav Klimt. Gustav Klimt and Egon Schiele are the two from the whole Nouveau movement, or I'm sorry, the whole secessionist movement that really kicked me in the pants. Like these pieces here, like Medicine. These are massive paintings, by the way. But just that flowing organic form of bodies and patterns together, just like, look at this. This is one of his forests. And there's just so much depth to that. Like pencil sketches. Try not to get into the nude stuff, which is hard to do because there's so much of it. Here's a portrait of Margaret Stoneborough Wittgenstein. Look at that craziness. Gotta love it. Anyways, another big influence on me. So there's some books for today. I've got, if there's certain things that people are interested in seeing, if there's certain types of storybooks that or storybooks or any kind of books that you're interested in seeing from the menagerie that I have around me, let me know. I'm all about sharing. Things are meant to be shared. I'm a really big fan of certain publishers these days. Like Magnetic Press is doing a lot of really interesting things, and there's Humanoids has been at it for years, but I love trying alternatives. Like I'll show you two last things here today. Okay. One is French, and one is New York by way of, I think it's Spain. So this is the French one. This one's about a guy who just can't, he just can't find love because he's kind of a piece of crap. And relationships and things aren't working out for him. But look at this really expression filled line and small intimations of the windows. And yet when he hits the color in there, that's a fully formed window. Look at the buildings in the same way. He doesn't even define what's on the posters. He just sort of knocks them down. So wonderful stuff. Pierre Paquet and Jesus Alonso. But this is a Lion Forge Magnetic Press. Yeah. It's really good. It's who's the love of his life? That's what the whole story's about. And, well, there's some adult stuff, sorry. But who the love of his life is kind of surprising. Robert says, Paul Kidby. Paul Kidby. Do I got to write that down now? Is that one to look up? Paul Kidby. If you've got a favorite, feel free to spit it out like hot fire. Okay, this is Greg Tocchini. And Greg Tocchini is he's one of these. Okay, so here's a page. No, I've still got that up. I'm sorry. Gary loves Breccia. Fantastic. Okay, so this is some of Greg Tocchini's work. This is about mankind in the future who lives under the ocean. And so it's all about us surviving in these underwater cities. And in the course of that, there's this need to leave, this need to explore and move our way up, because it's about time we reclaim the earth. So what does the surface of the world look like? And we just don't know, because we're in these underground environments. But at a certain point, we'd done so much damage to the environment that we had no choice but to live under the ocean, right? So So this is really, it's compelling, it's interesting, it has this really fluid, organic, and clearly defined sense of technology, and there's this sort of authentic quality to it. Now I've also got by the same artist his adaptation of the Iliad, and just wonderful stuff. You got artists from Uruguay, but no Paul Kidby. You call yourself an art historian. I don't call myself an art historian. But anyways, you can see just the beauty in the work. And once you're into the organic flow of the book, you realize that there's an opening in the way you're perceiving the technology and the drawing, that what at first for you was like, well, what is this spaceship? What is this thing? Suddenly becomes so readily clear to you that it's surprising. It's really surprising. It just becomes so fluid. He's this is the same artist that did Last Days of American Crime, which was adapted into a very bad television show, and the Iliad. He did the Iliad by Homer. So a recent book series for Classics Illustrated. Books should have chapters, not pictures. Grandma told you that, did she? What's the name of which one? The last one? Low. I'm sorry. Did I not? Okay. POS or low? You want the ISBN for low? There's another volume of this now, which it collects the rest of them, and I have to go and pick up. Low. LOW. 9781534302433. And that is low. I mean, just look at that cover. Look at that. The complexity of it. Beautiful work. These winged sci-fi bodysuits. Certain people have a genetic predisposition to be able to pilot these things, and the suits will respond to them. But if you don't have that genetic predisposition, the suit won't work for you. So it goes generationally through all these families, but it doesn't mean that it's going to work for you well. And then there's wonderful elaborations like this of genetically altered people mixed with bugs. So much great stuff, crazy stuff in this. But look at that panel there. Look at that. And I don't know if you can see it. Let me see if I can move. See all the ladies? That it's embossed in a clear and yet smoothly printed ink. That all the relationships he's ever had are watching him as he's running to try to find the love of his life. And that's just charming and sweet. Low. So there's some books. What are we at? 140. Let's keep going. Let's work on this a little bit more. If there's any of those things that I just showed that you want to see one more time, let me know. I'll pull it out. One of the benefits of working at the store I did is that whenever some of these we get these collections where these crazy old books would come in like that, like the Breccia sketchbook and things like that, I would always do my best to pick those up, to buy those. And, a lot of the main monthly books that were coming out, I would give this tertiary look through. Tertiary. I don't know why I use that word. I would give this really sort of quick look through. But a lot of superhero books weren't cutting it these days. It was a lot of it sort of repetitious plots, and a lot of them were just sort of, this is just social messaging wrapped up in a superhero fight, or I really have no idea what I'm reading at all, but it has zero to do with any of the characters that are in it. There's a lot of these examples of writers missing the mark. And then I was finding that a lot of European books that were coming out were just sort of really swinging that bat for the outfield. And I'll show you some more tomorrow. Like, remind me on 3 Prompt Thursday to show you things like the Ark and some of these French and Spanish art books that have come out. There's some really, really compelling stuff. So I'm going to see if I can get this to focus better. But some of this texture, I don't know why you can't focus for the life of you, you stupid camera. I got to buy a better camera, folks. I'm going to save up for that. There's all kinds of spattering in the texture from, I tried to have it really, to take away the smoothness of it, I would tamp all of the layers of the jelly plating that I put down with a paper towel so that I could have this rough texture on the surface, just so it can pick up the marks I'm putting down and friscolate them a little bit, you know, just diffuse them. I'm just going to leave that there so that you can't take that back. And everybody gets to witness that those words came out of your mouth. Everyone's welcome to their opinion. Get them, everybody. Do you know what the worst thing about Rob Liefeld's career is? And if you're not familiar with Rob Liefeld, please look up his artwork and not his 401 Jeans commercial. He started in the industry at 19. And there are numerous articles that say, how did an artist with no talent develop such a successful career? That's not very nice. That's not very nice. But that's the way he gets recognized in an industry. It's sad, but that's a terrible thing to carry with you. Yeah, I've read a number of different articles by different sources that all say the same thing, and it's paraphrasing the titles, but they're not too dissimilar from one another. How did an artist with no talent have such a successful career? How did a person who can't draw make so much money in comics? How did a person who has no ability to draw A, B, C, D become who he is? And that's mean. That's just mean. From his interviews, he seems like an awesome person. He's a genuinely sweet lover of sequential media all around and enthusiastic. His drawings he's a good storyteller. He's a really bad anatomist. He really is. And he recognizes that, but he's an amazing storyteller. But everything that's written about him is that he can't draw. He can illustrate a story though. I'm a massive fan of Keith Giffen, and I will show you some Keith Giffen tomorrow. But Keith Giffen is a person who has highly stylized approach to art in different ways. And he's a creator of Lobo, and as well as a major component to the success of the comic legions of superheroes. But there's a lot of people that disagree with his art style, but it's very fantastic and very avant-garde. And the more independent a book that he puts out, aside from the mainstream titles that he writes and illustrates, the more independent ones, he goes for it. I mean, he just goes. Look up a book called Trencher. Just look up Trencher, the comic, in a search, and you'll see what I mean. Just right out there. Every industry needs a Weird Al Yankovic. Yeah, I wouldn't say that Liefeld's the Weird Al Yankovic. There's that was my impression too, Christopher. Oh, that's very nice. That will take you a long way. You got a good attitude. People will love it. I don't like Liefeld's art, but I've defended him, especially considering he drew better at 17 than I did. That's right. He got discovered at 17, but he was full-blown one of the founders of Image at 19. Thank you for that, Joshua. I appreciate you reminding me of that. He started in the industry at 17, but when he was working on X-Force, he was 19 years old. So, storytelling, good. Anatomy, bad. Perspective, not the best. But carriage of the viewer through the scenes, giving you all the specific pieces of information that you need, but doing it with a heightened sense of impact. He's really good at that. He's really good at that. Just and business-wise, he got a little overwhelmed, but for such a young guy to enter an industry, that's wow. Setting Setting my personal disinterest in his work aside, I think the meanness he garnered reveals how many people wrongly thought drawing ability is the only metric in comics. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I firmly agree with that. Firmly agree with that. Robert says, I like big pouches in my artwork. It's a great Liefeld reference. And GD agrees with that too, what Gary said. Yeah, look at his Hawk and Dove books that he did for DC before he went to Marvel and did X-Force. Those books are great. I really enjoyed Hawk and Dove books when they came out. Then he got really into splash work when he was doing the stuff at Marvel and then at Image. He did lots of splash pages and was jumping on that hype. But he's definitely got his chops as a storyteller. It's the same as if you look at Bert Kriegstein in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, or maybe 40, 50, 60s. Bert Kriegstein had a really weird line. He had a very nouveau kind of a linear approach to drawing, of just almost contour drawing for a lot of the characters. And just beautiful when you look at it for its own merit. Jack Kirby's artwork is considered really ugly by a great deal of people. And other people look at it and go, hands down, definitely in competition as one of the best graphic storytellers historically. Not just in comics or in superhero comics in the last so many years. Period. Because everything's there. The story, the momentum, the pace changes, the emotion, the over the top action, the vistas are insane, the landscaping is all there, the perspectives are all there, the populating panels with the things that need to be in there, but at the same time having the efficiency of leaving the things out that don't need to be there. Kirby needs to be looked at by everybody, and looked at beyond just whether or not the drawings are pretty or ugly, or whether or not all the characters look like each other or don't. You know, it's perspective that you get as you get older, I think. I heard Robert Vett's comment to the tune of, I like big butts and I cannot lie. I like big touches in my artwork. Yeah, it works. That's how it was intended. We're at a level here, folks. We work at a level as a group. So yeah, so if there's always going to be people that you look at and go, oh, I guess. And then there's going to be people that you look at and go, wow. But at different turns in time, you'll look at those same people again, and you'll assess them on a very different level. This takes us back to the Northrop Frye thing, to the and Rick Rubin subsequently. Your taste changes with consumption, whether it's, you know, aesthetically, visually pleasing, auditorially pleasing, whatever it is. It develops, it changes, it progresses. Chris says, gotta go. I'll see you around tomorrow. See you tomorrow, Chris. Thanks for coming out. And that's great. It should change, right? So I appreciate very much everybody putting in, and I appreciate your question of the day today, Jim. Nobody likes an art snob, but at the same time, everybody has their own personal biases and things that they really don't agree with. You know, they just don't agree with. And we live in an age of social media where anybody that can turn on a camera can say this is the way that things should be done. And somebody else is going to listen to that and agree with them. And at the same time, people are going to turn on that camera and say things that people wholesale disagree with. And what is it? Josh calls that spicy. He calls it the spicy streams when he has those situations. And you know, we don't all agree on things, but at the same time, the more that we try to engage and look at the things that each of us are appreciating, I think it helps more and more of us to have a larger, more informed opinion about stuff that's out there, some of the creative and lovely things that we can enjoy. So, thanks for sharing, everybody. That's super cool. I've written a few names down today. I like that. I like when I have new things to look at. I think tomorrow, if I can remember, and I'll write it down right now. Tomorrow, I'm going to show you some Montfilo, and I'm going to show you some Lacroix, sorry. Lacroix. I can't figure out how to pronounce that French guy's name. And but it's not Lacroix. And then oh, hi, baby. How long have you been sitting there? You guys want to say hi to baby before what am I missing? A broad conversation with multiple perspectives is fun. Iron sharpens iron. Love that. A young lady took me to Klaus Oldenburg exhibition once. I learned so much. As long as people aren't attacked personally. Yeah, that's challenging. Hey, come here. You want to come and say hi? Come on, you old bird. This is baby. She is 14. There you are. Exciting? Who am I talking to? Hey? Yeah. All right. You sit here for a while. You want to get down? Okay, get down. Here you go. Yeah. So this is the cat that likes to sit directly on my lap while I'm working. It makes me have to draw like this. It's really fun. You gonna get down? Or are you settling in? What are you doing? Other than covering me in hair. How about your chair? There you go. Okay, good stuff. All right, that was baby. Corbin's upstairs, but baby came down to visit. Baby is no Corbin. Hey, you'd be nice to that lady. Yeah, this has been fun. This is really good and really interesting, and we've been sharing lots of different stuff. I like to hear about artists and writers that people appreciate and enjoy, and because I'm always up for new things. When Lori comes on the stream, I'm not sure if it's going to be tomorrow or the next day, but when Lori comes on the stream, she's going to talk about some of the writers that she regularly enjoys, and it's very exciting and very different from a lot of the junk that I read. So, super fun. Corbin has a certain I don't know what that baby likes. Baby bit me once. Yes, she did. You're asking for it. You looked at her. Sometimes that's enough for her. She's feisty. Right, aren't you? You're feisty? Yeah, she's feisty. All right. Well, I feel good about these first two panels. This is coming together pretty quickly. So I got to more clearly define the onions in this panel, and then I'm going to continue on. And I think I might have some fun with this, with drawing onions rolling over people, or we'll see. But they're going to try to take over the world. There's got to be something in a page like this where an onion rolls over major monuments, global monuments around the globe, right? There's how you see let's use Mars Attacks as an example, where they're on Washington Monument, they're knocking it back and forth to make sure it lands on as many people as possible. That's we got to do something like that in here. But this is a very different texture than yesterday's page. Yesterday's page was very smooth, and because of that smoothness, right, it didn't allow as much tooth for the medium to get in contact with the paper, which is sort of what made me choose to work on it the way I did. And the page before that is a sort of intermediate level where it had a little bit of tooth to it, but not so much. It was just sort of smooth areas and rough. Whereas this one today is really texturous. So I think that there's benefit to that. And I'm going to lean into that a little bit more in the preparation of these pages as I'm working on them, because I find great benefit to be able to work on a surface like that. So what am I missing? Loving these drawings with jelly plate papers, Christopher. Thank you very much, Dee. That's very nice of you. Gary says, love the look of what you're doing, Chris. Thanks, Gary. I appreciate that. I wish every time I get the camera set up for clarity, it's at a certain height, and then it phases out for some reason. And so if I was to move it down, then it's in focus again. But every time my hand goes over top of it, it either knocks the focus in or out. So I have to figure out a new camera. That's what I'm saving up for next. So we'll get to it. We'll get that. So in the meantime, I appreciate everybody standing by while I'm trying to show images on this sort of rough camera work. Okay, what are we at? We're at 157. Listen, I appreciate everybody coming out. The offer still stands perpetually that if anybody has one-page ideas that come to your head, please throw them at me. However ridiculous you might think it is, doesn't matter. I'm in. I'll give it a crack. It might not have any resemblance to whatever idea you thought you were giving me, but I'll still take a crack at it. And sometimes that different outlook is fun. There's something fun to that. So let me know. In addition to that, today is the 197th page in 197 days. So by the weekend, I will be at 200. And so I may well do a special stream for that. So I will let you know in the next couple of days. We'll see where we're at. There's a lot of things in the air right now. In the meantime, I'm going to get this done, get back to getting some work done. I'm going to go and see if they left my new lawnmower blade that's overdue by 2 days in front of the house here. And then I got lawnmowing to do if that's the case. But in the meantime, I hope that everybody that's engaged with the stream in the chat and live, and everybody that might watch it after the fact, I'd love to see what you're doing. I fully embrace whatever it is that you're finding avenues for self-expression. I highly encourage that. I don't say these things in any sort of way as like an authority as much as I do like a booster. Go for it. It's that kind of a perspective. So please do. And if you want to share it, and if you want me to share it for more people while we're here on the stream, let me know. Because I'd love to show those images. I've got some pictures that have been sent to me that I've put up on the screen before during the streams, and I have no problem doing that whatsoever. In the meantime, I'm off. Thank you very much. I'll be back at 2 o'clock tomorrow, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now, everybody. Thanks again.